Hello, welcome to the Citrus Garden. If you're new here, my name is Christina. This is a message for Twin Flame Divine Feminines, or if you don't resonate with that label, it could just be for you if you're wanting to work with or balance feminine energies within yourself. So I've already pulled your cards, DF. Let's get started. So we're starting off with these three cards. We have the Listen card, which I feel like is you, or guidance for you, but it's feeling like your energy feels very grounded today. Listening, sort of being in your environment, like, I don't want to say embedded in your environment because it's not like sort of a negative thing. It feels like you're very tuned in and sort of like tapped into both like your spiritual, like the listening aspect, but also what's going on around you, like in your physical environment. So I'm seeing this as your energy, Gia. And then you have here the Lorelei and the Liberty card. So even though this is your reading for the Divine Feminines, it feels like the Divine Masculines are wanting to almost like ask a question through this reading. And it has what it's asking about with you have the Vision and the Mirror card. So the Vision today is talking about like purpose, actually, like purpose and work and sort of like the twin flame mission, if you want to call it that. I don't know. I find that term a little bit cringy for some reason, but it's like the reason why you're here, like what it is that you're supposed to be in quotation marks, whatever like the grand plan is, that kind of, that's the topic, basically. It's like they're wanting to know something about their purpose or like why it is that they're here, and how that connects with you. And I feel like what they're struggling with is this energy. You may also be struggling with this as well, DF. So it could be both if you haven't yet sort of figured out what it is that you should be doing. I don't like those terms. Because I don't believe that there's any should, right? There's no like should or like an obligation. I feel like that's sort of the area of resistance that I'm meeting. There's nothing that you're obligated to do while you're here. It's more so just like finding something that you enjoy doing. And coincidentally, I feel like that's how you find your purpose, if you want to put it like that. It feels very, there's a lot of like officialness. I'm just going to move on. These I'll come back to. But there's like with the tarot cards that are coming out here. So I pulled a lot of them. There's the Five of Wands, which is talking about competition, which I'll get back to. The Moon and the Hermit, which I feel like is your energy, but also it feels like your energy. So it could be that you are still trying to like figure out how to connect with or be aligned with your purpose in some way. And I feel like coincidentally the masculines are also going through that as well. And what's interesting here is that you have the Hierophant and the Deception card, which are coming out together. And so this Hierophant card, and then after that is the Empress, which of course is you. But there's some aspect here with the Hierophant and Deception that I find interesting. So this Hierophant card, I've struggled to sort of connect with the Hierophant card because just from my personal experience, the Hierophant to me represents sort of like institutions, right? Like religious institutions, education, very sort of like long-standing, almost like a governmental, like kind of like bodies, right? Like governing bodies, that kind of thing, which I personally find to be very sort of like slow to change, very rigid, used as sort of a method of control, right? Which is how I see it. It's not a very positive viewpoint from my perspective, so just keep that in mind. I know not everybody thinks like that, but what I'm getting here is that because it's coming out with the Deception, there's some aspect of like a societal construct that is providing this like almost like deceptive or controlling kind of mindset that I feel like the twins, perhaps both of you in this connection, are struggling with, right? Like there's some aspect of needing to like defrock this clergy representation, right? Like that, like to expose the deceptive elements of societal institutions, just generally, is kind of how I'm seeing this. And that's where this moon and hermit are coming in, because the moon talks about illusions, right? There's a lot of illusions within this dynamic, the Hierophant, and sort of seeking truth within that. This may also be influenced because I've been watching a lot of Star Wars, and so I was watching Andor. So that's all about like the rebellion, right? Like that kind of thing. This is the energy that's coming through. Is like finding ways in which to fight against the system, so to speak. Okay. Anyways, so and that might be part of your, like, I do believe that with the vision here, part of like the twin flame mission, if you want to call it that, is to sort of shift and change the established order of like what it is that we as a society believe and trust in and value. Perhaps this could also talk about values, right? Like societal values, or the way a society should function. For example, there's all of that sort of energy within your reading today, which is so interesting. Okay, and the vision, which I talked about, and then we have the Two of Wands and the Hanged Man. So the Two of Wands is talking about planning, right? Planning, strategizing, perhaps looking forward, how it is that you want to shape your world or your environment or whatever it is. And with the Hanged Man is like getting a new perspective on that. So that's what this whole reading is about. It's like, I feel like you, DF, are, if you're not aligned with your purpose yet, it's like you are working towards that, right? Like but it feels like very much in your current energy that you are doing that, you are bringing it in. But your counterpart is wanting to sort of step into this message today to almost like ask for guidance on that for them as well, is how this is coming through. So let's get into the reading. The very first card that came out was the Mystic, which I love so much because this is talking about like your spiritual practice. For twin flames, I do feel that like the spiritual aspect of it is really important for your mission. Like whether or not it is that like you're doing spiritual work like this, for example, it doesn't have to be that, but it is sort of being connected to your guides in order to, and like your spiritual practice and all that, your higher self, whatever label you want to put on it, being connected to that energy, your source, in order to do your work, right? Regardless of whether or not your work is spiritual. So that's what this Mystic card is talking about. And then you have here the Temple, the Queen, and the Vow, which I love so much. All of this energy is so vibrant for you today. And the Temple to me talks about like creating in an environment of sort of peace and serenity, a place that you go to in order to connect with your higher self, a place where you create intentions, right, to put out and also receive guidance, right? Like that's sort of what I see as the Temple. It's sort of like an oasis, a place where you connect with your spirituality and how that actually translates into your physical environment. So it's like a union between like your body, mind, and spirit. All three of those aspects need to be in alignment in order for you to do your work. And I feel like that's your current energy, DF. Like I feel like you are finding that, or if not, like you haven't found it yet, you are about to, or it's coming in, or there's pieces being aligned for you that's going to allow you to connect with that energy. And the Queen I'm seeing as very much like the DF, the Divine Feminine, in action, right? Like doing work. There is work or purpose or mission that's associated with this card that I'm seeing for you. And then here you have the Vow, which is where the counterpart connection is coming into it, because I feel that each twin has their own individual purpose, right? Each twin has their own unique gifts, and things, and an alignment of body, mind, and spirit that is right for them. But with this vow card coming in, it's also that there is a shared purpose. So you each have your own individual work to do, but together you also have like a shared vision, a shared purpose, something that requires the two of you. And I feel like that's what's wanting to come in. It's like, I feel like you have found that part for yourself. You found your individual purpose, what it is that you were supposed to be doing. And now it's like trying to help the other one find their individual purpose if they haven't found that yet. And how those two things are going to be brought together, because there is, even though you both have sort of individual works to do, I feel like they are sort of related or linked. Like there's a correspondence between your work and your twin's work, and how those two things are going to work together to create something new. So I feel like that's why the masculine energy is coming into your reading today. So the oracle cards that we have out here, which is really quite interesting, is, so the first two out were the Secrets card and the Rose Garden. So I'm seeing this Rose Garden as you, as like being, it's all of this, like all of your energy feels very grounded, which to me means that you are connected to source, absolutely. And that connection is also very much present in your physical reality, right? All of that energy that you are receiving or connecting to is being like shown or evident in what it is that surrounds you physically. And I feel like that's where the difference is for your DM, the counterpart energy. They're in the Secrets energy with the moon, where it's like there's a like a detachment. Is kind of like, I see this as sleepwalking, right? Like, so sleepwalking, the implication in sleepwalking is that they're receiving some sort of guidance, but it's not like a conscious thing. It's not conscious. They're unconsciously sort of walking through their physical environment, if that makes sense. But it's not in alignment with what they think, what they feel, that kind of thing. So their physical environment doesn't match the source inspiration, let's call it, that they're receiving from their guidance or whatever it is. So that's the difference between these two cards. It's like they perhaps have some sort of connection. I'm assuming they have some sort of, they are aware that where they are right now, perhaps in their work or their job, is not in alignment with how they feel or what they want to be doing or their sole purpose. But I feel like for them, they're not quite sure how to bring those two aspects together. And you have here next the Moon Dance and then the Treasured Memories, which again are so similar in terms of like the composition, but this one's a moon energy, which is talking about detachment today. It's like separation in terms of like the masculine's concept of like body, mind, and spirit is not aligned, right? They don't have that sort of connection between all three elements within themselves that's causing disharmony or dissatisfaction with what it is that they're doing. For you, it looks so similar, but you're very much grounded. Your physical environment is aligned with sort of what it is, like, even if it's not yet, even if your physical environment's not quite a match to your vision or whatever it is. With this cloud, I'm seeing this as like daydreaming. It's still not, it might not yet be like a physical reality for you. However, you still have more sort of like a groundedness within your energy where it's not causing distress, right? It's not causing distress. It's not causing worry. It's more so just like you're content to sort of daydream and allow the energies to sort of come in when the timing is right, is kind of how this is feeling. And so more of this to just like emphasize your energy today. Yeah, because it feels like your energy is actually really like content and satisfied, because we have the Four of Wands celebration, which of course is the twin flame card. It's so simple. I love this card so much because it's so simple and like minimalist, and just like there's no clutter, there's no like distractions. It just feels like prioritizing the connection and your purpose, whatever that is, like prioritizing it, what it is that you feel that you're here to do, is kind of how I'm seeing this card. And then you have here the World card, which is called the Universe today, which I love because it's talking about alignment, right? It's alignment and balance is how I'm seeing this. So these two cards to come out first for you is gorgeous, which is just like emphasizing that what you're doing is in alignment with your purpose, with the connection, all of that. And you have here the Queen of Wands, which is talking about vibrancy. But it's more so being like when you are in alignment with like body, mind, and spirit, there is sort of this like attractiveness, not just like purely physical attractiveness, but it's like you have like a glow or an aura, or there's like a very clear sort of appeal, I want to say, when you are in alignment. And I feel like that was sort of the message of the last Divine Feminine reading, which I will link at the end of this video if you're interested. That's what this energy is talking about. And then here, what you have next is the Princess of Swords, Curiosity, and the Princess of Cups, which is Dreams. So I feel like this is... I was getting this Princess of Swords as being sort of like another person, or just like your counterpart perhaps, of being curious about what it is that you're doing. It could also just be other people, right? Other people being curious about what it is that you're doing and why. It could just be like bystanders, right? Like people who are just curious about what it is that you're doing, but I feel like you're not paying any mind to it, is kind of how I'm seeing this. I feel like that'll come back. I'm not sure exactly what that Princess of Swords is. Could just be you having a mindset of curiosity, right? Like just exploring, because it is with this sort of like the treasured memories. It could be past people as well, who are just sort of curious about what it is that you've been shifting or doing or changing. Perhaps if you're kind of keeping it quiet, it is kind of how this is feeling. It's kind of, anyways, with this treasured memories, I feel like it's like being sort of content to explore or to daydream is what this is talking to me about. And then you have here the Ace of Cups. Because it came out with the Princess of Cups, like right beside it, it's like you're only focusing on love, right? Focusing on unconditional love, just generally, of course within the connection, but also just like generally in terms of what it is that you love, what it is that you love to do, perhaps, or like the things that you like, more of this dream energy, the daydream, in your sort of wildest dreams. What is it that you would love to do is kind of what this energy is feeling like. And perhaps just being curious about that, because I feel like that's a very positive energy to have for receptivity, like bringing in ideas. It could be bringing in ideas of like daydreaming, exploring, being curious about all sort of the different potentials that may be available to you within this connection. Okay, and this is where it wants to shift to the Divine Masculines, because how I'm seeing this, so the first card out was the Three of Pentacles, then the Knight of Cups, Nine of Cups, and then the High Priestess. So I'm seeing this as you, the High Priestess, one who has connection to to source, but also with the High Priestess, it's associated with the moon energy. So how I see the High Priestess is one who can see through illusions, right? Like you can see through illusions, you know how to work with the moon energy. And the thing about the moon is that it shows us what we want by giving us what we don't want, is kind of how I see it. Right? Like showing us illusions which reveal the truth is how I'm reading this. And so I feel like that's what you're doing, DF. It's like there are illusions around, absolutely. But because you are aware of what it is that you want or who you are, could be that, or just like your truth, those illusions don't affect you. You can kind of see through it and identify what's an illusion and what isn't. And I feel like this is your Divine Masculine's energy with the Three of Pentacles, like wanting to sort of work together. With the Knight of Cups, it kind of feels like a question, or like approaching perhaps in a to sort of ask a question about like something about the Nine of Cups of emotional fulfillment within self, right? Like how they can seek this, or how can they find this sort of emotional satisfaction within self, which is interesting because I feel like it's not something that you can answer, DF, right? Like I feel like because that's such a personal thing. It's such a personal thing. Even though I feel like your Divine Masculine really well, you can sort of perhaps guide them in the right direction with the High Priestess. Like I feel like there may be why they are like approaching or wanting to work together. I feel like you can absolutely sort of guide them in the right direction, but it feels like for the Nine of Cups, it's something that they need to find individually. Like what is it that makes them happy and fulfilled? Because it's not the Ten of Cups, right? If it was the Ten of Cups, I feel like you could help them more. Because that's about sharing emotional fulfillment. But this is a very independent kind of thing, is how it's feeling. And what's interesting here is that you have the Devil next. So I feel like there's something about... Today it was just coming through with contracts. Because it's with the Capricorn energy, I feel like it has to do with like work contracts, or like it could be tied to resources, right? Like how it is that they can find that, like, because we're in Capricorn season as well, there's just like a lot of Capricorn energy around recently where just like trying to reestablish or redefine what success and achievement means for you. I feel like that's what they're trying to figure out, what they're wanting to ask about is like how to find emotional fulfillment within their work, right? Which has to do with their purpose. Why it is they're here, what brings them joy, how they can take that emotional fulfillment and turn it into something that will provide for them, right? Provide for them, provide for family, whatever it is, whatever this thing is. And I feel like there's something here about like contracts of like perhaps they're like trying to get out of a contract, or just finding some sort of like work that will be emotionally fulfilling to them, and that will also work for the partnership, right? Like something that like perhaps they are wanting to, like with the Three of Pentacles, like I said, I feel like both twins have their own independent purposes, but those purposes, I'm not sure if this is correct, I feel that those two purposes should intersect at some point so that you can work together on it, right? Even if it's like two separate like jobs or something, there should be some element where those two things are brought together to benefit the partnership, if it's something like that. Because the Devil can be something like it takes too much for, like, there could be just like a lack of time, or like just too much work, too much commitment, too much that would not allow for this connection to thrive or to happen. It would take whatever this devil energy is, like I feel it's like a contract. It would, it's taking away from the connection is kind of how I'm seeing this. And so I feel like that's what they're wanting guidance on, with the 3 of Wands and the 10 of Pentacles and then the Fool, right? It's like the 10 of Pentacles I'm seeing as being sort of like the vision, the thing that you and your counterpart are wanting to build together, right? Like the community, all of that. And it's coming through very strongly with like providing for like a family is kind of how this is feeling like to me. If that doesn't resonate for you, just leave it. But like with the 3 of Wands, and you also had the 2 of Wands, right? Trying to plan or look ahead or gather enough resources in order to build whatever this 10 of Pentacles is. And I feel like that's what they're needing, support or guidance or whatever it is. And I feel like for you, DF, with the Fool here, it's like I feel like you are in the position, because you are sort of in your purpose, is how I'm feeling this, that you can sort of listen on behalf of your counterpart, is how I'm seeing this. Like perhaps knowing that they are seeking what it is that they can do, right? They're seeking some aspect of their work or their purpose, how they can become aligned with that. I feel like what's being asked of you is listening on their behalf, because sometimes, like especially with the High Priestess and the Devil coming out together, there was a message there of like, I feel like you can see some aspect of the Devil energy within their environment very clearly of what it is that's not working in their work or whatever it is. Some aspect of like a contract or whatever this Hierophant energy is, some institutional belief or structure that they're part of that might not be in alignment with their purpose. I feel like you can see part of that clearly, and I think that's what they're needing guidance or support in. Okay, I'm going to end the message there. I'm going to move to the extended, which is in the description box below. You can also find links to book a personal reading with me if you're interested in that. I do have other videos if you are interested in checking those out. Thank you so much for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.